Welcome back to our third episode of this series that is helping guide you along your path to starting a safe home ministry or learning how to better support. It is our longest but most detailed segment. We provide a lot of text for your notes, but I encourage you to have a notepad ready and write down what speaks to you the most. What we're talking about today are the multiple phases that Brandy's home has developed for each woman's journey into recovery. She helps detail the goals and signs for each of these and phases and when you have a woman graduate to the next phase. Right now, this is being done all inside one home, but Brandy's desire for the future is to have 3 separate homes for these 3 phases. Maybe that's something to consider before beginning a safe home, to have more than one space for this. Or maybe you can help support a safe home to do just that. A few things I want to point out before we begin. Brandy is still in her journey of finding out better ways to provide a safe home. With the amount of training she had before officially starting the safe home to the continual education she still gets on a bi-weekly basis, she learns from the good and the bad of what occurs in the safe home. As she talks about things they're currently working toward or what helped them grow, write those down. There could be a safe home that needs that exact support from you right now. What a blessing it would be for you to approach them with an educated mindset on how to financially support them with what they've already been dreaming about doing. Lastly, we discuss one hardship that many forget about when beginning a ministry like this, and that's sometimes turning away a victim. Not every person is ready for recovery. While a great amount of patience is needed, boundaries must exist and be there. It does not mean you close the door forever, but you must consider the other women in the home who will need boundaries to work toward their recovery. Having someone in the home to possibly disrupt that cannot work. If you are seeking this ministry, do you have the strength to be patient and set boundaries such as these? I'm encouraged by your engagement thus far, and I look forward to you continuing this journey. Let us all work to begin and support safe homes across the country, beginning in our own state, county, or city. What we're going to be talking about in this segment is truly what a safe home should be accomplishing to obviously help with trafficked victims. Mm-hmm. So what we want to do is start with kind of the beginning process. How you mentioned in our last segment that you kind of assess before they come on board, before they are allowed into the home. There's reasons for that, and we're going to kind of get into each step and the reasons for those steps. But before we get into that, I have one last question around it all. Where and how did you learn these steps? Before we get into it, how did you learn what to do? Did you learn along the way? Did you learn beforehand? What'd you do?
I learned along the way. Plus, the people who were mentoring me helped me to know, which agencies to start with and how I should work with them, because I didn't have a clue.
So you began some stuff and obviously changed along the way. Do you believe that even if someone was to follow your exact strategy, that they're probably going to have to do the same thing?
I think if they follow me, they'll probably have a little bit more knowledge than I did, because I think everybody that learns from somebody else brings a little bit more than what they have gotten before. And it's, most of it, I will tell you, or maybe half of it, is experience. It's doing it plus the knowledge that you receive. So I learned a lot, Jeremy, through my failures and through my experience with trafficking.
And I just want to encourage everyone to start off with what's been working, and before just assuming that it's not.
Right.
All right, so I want to start off with the assessments. How do you assess and how do you decide who can come in and not
The first thing that we do is if they need to be detoxed, we want to get them detoxed, because you can't get the information that you need to get from them if they're high and on drugs. They don't really share with you the things that you need to know. So they're usually working with someone if we come from an agent. But if we're rescuing somebody, we will bring them to be tested. And then if we feel that we need to take them somewhere else, that we are not ready to take them because they need more detox, then we will take them somewhere else for a longer detox. They don't come in the house if they're still not. We did that once, and it created such a problem. She needed, they said, probably months to detox, and we did it in a week, and it didn't work out. After we detox, then we start the intake process. And that intake process lets us know what their real name is. It lets us know information about private information. They don't have to go into everything, but just things that lets us know, where did that human trafficking start? If it started with family, they're certainly not going to talk to family, because as we integrate them back in to the real world, we're going to have to keep them away from the family who sold them. So that's one thing we need. We need to know, what kind of drugs was she on? What kind of drugs does she need to be on according to our doctor? And most of the girls that come in here are not on hard drugs anymore, because we help with natural meds. We also have things that we put in the room that help them to sleep, sound machines. They're not allowed to smoke. They're not allowed to have a lot of sugar except on the weekend. It triggers a lot of things. So that intake will tell us a lot about their life and what we're going to be dealing with. Questions like, do you have an eating disorder? We tried that once with a girl. It's more than just an eating disorder. It disturbed the whole house because of the vomiting and the food, hiding the food, and it was a mess. So you want to look at the medical issues, the psychological issues, the criminal record. Because if their criminal record has been checked out and they've lied to us, and it's worse, we can't take them in. But if it's not, that bad that we can work with them, we let them know we're not here to judge you. Jeremy, almost every girl that goes through trafficking is going to have a record. So we don't want them to think we're judging you on how many men you were with, forced to be with, what your family did to you. The people that should have cherished you hurt you. So from the beginning, we let them know, please don't think we're here to judge you. Honestly, we just want to help you. And we don't go into the depth of that trauma, because that's when she gets with the trauma therapist and the counseling. And you have to be careful which counselors you get, because even though you have wonderful counselors or Christian counselors or whatever, if they don't understand human trafficking, they don't help the girls. We had one counselor say to the girl, you could not have serviced that many people. And he made her feel like she was lying. So I said, we won't use them anymore. I interview them. I go in with them to see what they're like when they talk to my girls. And one of them that we used was recommended by one of our mentors, who is wonderful, but it's $225 an hour. So when you have that many girls that need that at the beginning, multiply $225 once a week for all those girls. It's a lot of money, but it needs to be done.
I'm curious, though, where are the assessments happening before they do come into this realm?
Usually the assessment will take place over the phone. If we can go see them at an attorney's office, or if there's some way that we are physically able to do that, we will. But most of them, it's done over the phone with two other people on my end and someone on their end, where nothing is misunderstood. We might go over it 3 times where we call and do the same intake. And the reason we do that is to see if that information is true. And then we want them to say, ask us some questions. That's important. Don't just go ask them questions like you're the general. Say, is there anything that you would like to know? Sometimes they want us to send pictures. We do. Not of the outside, but of the inside. And then they'll ask us certain questions and we'll answer them. And then when we call back again, are you still feeling happy about coming? Or is there something you're interested in? They have more concerns. How long are you going to make me stay there? We're not going to make you stay here anytime. You want to come, we want to show you how much we care about helping you. So after we have that, we bring them in, and my medical doctor, who's retired, she starts talking with them about, do you have a problem sleeping? Are you having withdrawals on anything? And then she helps them every day for months to walk this journey that they're coming off of everything. Then we bring in someone who's going to talk to them about food. We had that at the beginning, and then we lost one of the girls, and now we have a girl again. Dietitian is very important. Some of the girls come in with Lyme disease and different kinds of diseases where the food has to be different. Now, some people are thinking when I'm speaking, why don't you go to these places that give you food? We had them give us food. It was a lot of bread. It was a lot of meat. The girls had to be on specific kind of diets. So we had to go out and buy that food. So it's different. So you put them on, what they should eat. And then you have a time that they're sleeping because they're used to sleeping through the day and working in the night. So now you're reversing. They've got to be out of the room at a certain time. Their rooms have to be clean. They go in the kitchen. They cook together. They eat together because they're building relationships. They don't go back in the room until that evening around 9 o'clock. They can have a backpack with what they need, their hygiene. If they were to need to go back in the room, that's okay. We can do that if they're sick. But you're teaching them how to become normal again. And you're taking what was normal to them and flipping it so it's hard. So after they sit at the table, then you go into like a group of trauma therapy. You do it in a group. Then you have your curriculum that you work with. And then you will go on those days, or some days we go to horse therapy. There are days we go to the gyms that work with us. We have a gym that will shut down so that we can go there. And so we work with those things. We grow things. We have artists that come in, and we have education. And it's very light here because this is just the assessment. But when we see they're able, then they transition into the residential home. Now they're doing a lot more freedoms. They're starting to learn how to dress for a job. They're starting to learn to write a resume. They not have resumes, but they want to learn how to write a resume. You want to learn how to carry yourself with good manners and things like that. So the residential home opens up more education, more life skills for them. And they can actually go places in the van. We're hoping for a new van that we can take them in. And we want to go places where we can ask the people if we could come in without being noted that we're a safe home, but bring a group in. Like a lot of times we'll take them on the beach to watch the turtles. They love that. They want to watch the rockets. They want to do things where they can feel the fresh air again. And so going from that residential home where they're doing good, now they've got a lot of their education, their life skills, learning how to dress, working with finances. They're going into the empowerment condo. Right there near my residential house, only the assessment house will stand alone. Those other 3 houses will be on the same properties. So in that empowerment house, now they're like living in a condo at college, but they're being overseen by advocates. They're just learning a little bit more independence. Cook for yourself. Show me how you're going to dress. We're taking a trip today. This is so exciting. The clerk of the court said, we will help them by hiring them or letting them be an intern and come here with a briefcase, showing them how to dress and giving them the power to work with the courts. The very same people that before were putting them in jail want to help them now. So we're looking for that, for them to get more power when they're going out, how they carry themselves, teaching them how to look in someone's eyes. Because when they're trafficked, they never look up in someone's eyes. Never. Now they're going from empowerment to independent. Now, at the end of that, you can drive, but we're going to track you. And the job that you're going to go to, we're going to know that you're going to that job. But now you're starting to make money. And so you can pay a little bit of rent and live there and show us how responsible you are. And at the end of that year and a half, if you go, I don't think I can face the world yet. We go, okay, let's look at this. Let's see what we need to do to change that. And we don't throw them out the door. Like, okay, it's time for you to age out. It's time you've been here for this long. You go. We help you do well. Here's your little suitcase. I don't care, honestly, if you're with me 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, if you're feeling like you're healing those open wounds. Because once those get healed and once you become empowered, you're going to go out into the world and you're going to scare them. You're going to be so powerful. One girl wanted a restaurant. That's why we opened our restaurant. It doesn't mean we can run out, guys, and open everything they want. We don't have the money. A church owned that restaurant and let us take it, and then our survivor decorated it, and that was her dream, and she became the assistant manager. That was a gift to us that we still have. And then the boutique was our old fruit building that my family used to run fruit, and my family agreed that I could use it, because when you think of the money that we need to run this, we use some of those entities to hire these girls back in so we can watch them and help them learn how to work and take care of them, and then they can move on.
So right now, what you're building toward is those 3 homes. This one will be the first stage. Then you're going to have a second stage, and the condo's the third one. Thinking about how you've done it in just one home, which is usually where most safe homes would start. After the assessment, and you had some people would be in that second or third stage, but they would be in the same home. Mm-hmm. So walk me through, okay, they're here. What things are you doing and programs you're going through during their first phase, along with the other girls?
Okay.
And what are you trying to accomplish by doing that?
Well, the first phase is to have that girl, like I said, to be able to think straight and be healthier and be ready to start the phases. So after she's gone through that assessment time, that phase then is to come in and sit down with my group and let's talk. What are our goals? What do you think that you would like to do? Most of them go, I don't know. And then what you try to do is you do a dream board, or you do something that helps them to recognize there is a dream for them. And during that time that you're doing that second phase, they're trying to work together. We do some community services that we just started too. The community services are going to be for the girls to go into the nursing homes and be able to give back love. It's really important for these girls to understand everything's not going to be put in their lap. A lot of them feel like when they come, you should make up for every year that things were subtracted from then. If you have the wrong advocates, that's what you'll end up doing, buying gifts, going on trips, letting them sleep all day. No, they've got to show that they know how to cook, the ones in there in the second phase, to make those that came in just now feel good. You're going to work at that relationship. You go back to the core values and you go over all those core values. And as they are aggressive, moving forward, transitioning into the second phase, they are becoming more independent even in this house. The third phase is, like I told you, even though we only have one house, they're starting to have education. They're starting to have resume. Do you know how hard that is to do in one house? This is like a domino effect. You bring in the new ones, and they want to know why those girls, you might have to take them out into the room that we have for art and go over resumes and go over dress codes. They want to know why they're not doing it, but they're not at that phase yet. But we do teach them from the beginning that they come in, there is a dress code. There is a certain dress code. And they've got to be able throughout that day to do their chores. They've got to be able to do that day to do their walking, to start doing their exercising. If you don't get them exercising mentally, they're a mess. So you've got all those different levels that you're doing in one house, and they may get triggered and go all the way back to the beginning. So those transitional phases I told you are happening right here. Instead of having a house, residential, and a condo, it's all right here. This is where we're doing it. Some may be taken to the schools. Others may be taken over there to the doctor to get their body in shape. Everything is going on in one house. You can do it. I'm doing it. But I can tell you, this is difficult. And then you're turning down people because you don't have enough advocates, or you don't have enough, places to put them. So if you have your other houses, you can move those people on that are doing good and bring in your new ones and keep doing that process of transitioning. But if you don't have your homes ready, you better hope that you're got everything together, because it's hard. You've got to have your advocates. Advocates are working with this one, while advocates over here are working with another girl. And at the same time, you're building relationships. Even though they're not at the same phase, you're building relationships like the real world. It's going to happen. Everybody in the real world is not on the same page. Everybody in the real world doesn't have, this girl may get a little favor over here while this one's still working, and you have to teach them that. You have to teach them gratitude. That's huge for us. Gratitude for the little small thing that somebody does for you shows them that life is changing. I've got to be thankful. I know that now I'm not just someone like a cattle being, cattle through. And you know that they have those barcodes now. Did you know that, Jeremy? Barcodes where they can just put the amount that owes it and just swipe it and sell them like they're cattle. We had girls that had brandings, but we have surgeons too that will take off those brandings for them, those tattoos and things. They'll remove it.
So the first phase seems to be primarily like, we're trying to get you out of this lifestyle that you've known into more of a balanced, stable lifestyle that is going to help shape them for society all around us. This is what most people grew up with. They have not received.
Right.
And so you're trying to break old habits, also naturally give them, trauma therapy and whatnot, counseling. That seems to be probably, I would guess, what most people think a safe home is.
Yes.
Right?
That's what most people think a safe house is.
I think what makes yours very unique is that second and third phase. So after they are finally, when do you know that they're ready for that second phase? And then what are they trying to accomplish during that second phase?
Every phase is written out. The girls know what the phase is. We sit down, we go over it with them, and we say this and this and this is what you need to accomplish to be able to go on to your third phase. And most of that, like I said, is just being able to work with the girls that are here after the assessment of getting healthy, getting where your mind is, where you're eating right. The second phase then is being ready to come out of just being alone, out of isolation, learning how to work together. And then the third phase goes into working with education. So we have someone that will work with them on the computer in that room, and they have to stay there and work with them. The girls can't touch the computer. We don't have enough computers. We need more, but we don't have enough, so we use that one. And so now they're into education. They may be looking for jobs in that third phase. They come out with the clothes that they get to pick, too. They get to go into the boutique we have, and they can pick out clothes. And then the clerk of the courts are giving us what's called a closet room, and they do suits and briefcases. So once the girls are into that third phase, they get to go there and get their briefcase and get their clothes and work with the clerk of the court. Now, some of them don't want to because they don't trust law enforcement, but some of them want to go into law enforcement to stop what's happened to them. So that phase is resumes. The third phase is dress codes. It's being able to role play. We role play a lot, and we role play to help them. They're exiting the program, but they don't even know that role playing is that, because it's teaching them life skills of how to keep doing these step by step to becoming a new person, to be able to go into the world and be able to function. So we take it slow, but those phases are needed. They're essential things that life skills require for people to have. But in the meantime, we give them gifting like piano, drums, guitar, ballet. We do things that tries to help them find their inner giftings, because they will all say, Jeremy, I don't know. I don't have a dream. I don't have a gift. They feel that because all that's left is just a shell. But we tend to get it back. We cheer a lot. We get happy a lot when they do things. We do what's called it's a dinner once a month. And it's a theme dinner. Like we'll ask one of the girls, where's some place that you've always wanted to go? If she says Hawaii, We bring in someone that knows how to cook the dishes from Hawaii, and they wear the leis. They decorate the table. They all cook together. And you sit down at the table and you talk about a dream. Would you like to go there one day? Why? And you start to open them up. Now, a lot of them that go into the 3rd and 4th stages, they can volunteer to do things, but they have to have an advocate that's with them. And then, of course, at the 4th stage, that's the independence of going to a job, being able to get back on their feet again, and finances, how to work the finances. Someone oversees that the whole time. You don't just get your money because you work. We hadn't asked you for a penny, but now you can't spend it all because we're going to work with you on a budget, and we're going to work with you on how to get out and get you a home or get you a condo. We're hoping to get a piece of property that we could do tiny homes. And as they graduate with us, it might be 4 years or 5 years, they can go in that tiny home, and we could have someone that would live out on that piece of property and help us to get the girls to be safe and help them to go along life's journey.
I think what you have kind of established is that you need to expect a long time.
I feel that with most, not everybody's that way, but most are that way.
Yeah. I mean, because in our last segment, we talked about someone who was being trafficked when she was 7. Now she sees you at 27. So took 20 years to get her there.
Yes.
You think it'll take, you would think it took 20 years to get her out.
Yes.
So
why do you put a time limit? What I understand, when I hear people say, well, the other people told us we'd be through in a year and a half, and I go, well, I can't speak for them. I'm just going to say you're going to speak loud and clear to me. The phases are all written down. I can tell you they graduate when those phases are done if they feel like they're ready to integrate. Just because the phases are done and it's time to graduate doesn't mean that they're ready. They may say to us, is there some way I could work here? And we're okay with that as long as they go through all the training. We don't just throw them into it right away. But it's just real important to be sensitive to what they are feeling.
The reality is, you started a terrible business. I mean,
Yeah.
it is sacrificial, but both by money, time, and emotion. And if it's one person, that's okay. And it's okay that it takes this long. You're not trying to just get them in and get them out. I think many times when you have a safe home that is supported by the state, that's supported by these large organizations, that they're trying to turn it into that. Mm-hmm. And it's important that our viewers understand that if you're going to support a safe home, support the quality of that safe home and what they're doing. You're not supporting to say what are our numbers. You're supporting to say, what are you doing? What are you trying to accomplish? And it's important that in this fight we recognize that this is not a fight to win by numbers. Obviously we want to, but the only way we grow in numbers is to have more safe homes, more support, so on and so forth. That's how we do that, not by making one safe home have more people in it.
Right. I mean, that encourages me to know that you know that, because we can't go forward without more safe homes. And this is tough. It is. And it's sometimes you're going to feel like throwing in the towel, and many times you're going to mess up. But if you keep trying to do better and you keep educating yourself more and more, but keep your heart there, you will do it. I have to just say, God has helped me do everything that I've done. And that's the way we've survived.
Now, there's one final question I have in this segment, and that's kind of a hard question. It's hard to subject, but it's an important one if you're running a safe home that I've, from everything you've told me, is knowing how to do an exit. You mentioned that one of the hardest things to do, probably the hardest thing to do, is an exit. And when someone is not following the rules, going toward their accomplishments, so on and so forth. So I know that you can't give too many specific examples, but can you give us a generic idea of when it's the right time to exit, and then how your program works for your exit program?
Okay, there's two different kinds of exiting, okay? There's the good kind of exiting when they're graduating. So like when they come in, we start to talk about, we're so glad you're here to help you to be able to go back in the world. And we talk about it in a good way. We don't go, okay, well, you're going to be here a year and a half and then you're going to leave. We do role playing. And what we do is be able to act out things that shows them what it would be like to keep moving forward. And how would they act in that? So if they're not ready, we can see that in role playing, but we're continuously, talking about doing that exit for their dreams. So it's not an ugly word. It's something where we're trying to help them achieve that. That's what we do from the time they come in. The other exiting is when someone is not respecting our core values. They're not respecting the advocates. They're not respecting the other girls. We were bringing them in and giving them chance over chance over chance because it wasn't being handled right. You need to bring them in from the beginning, talk to them. It doesn't change. You bring them in and write that up and talk to them again. What do you feel is causing this problem? Is there something, we could change? Or it might be a mental problem with some things that they have going on. If it's mental health care, we can't do it. If we see that, like one girl that we had almost smothered another girl because she felt like she was after her, we had to call and have her help. We had to get help. We're not qualified to do that. So when a girl's not wanting to really help herself, she wants to either run because she's scared or run because she's a manipulator and she wants to run the house, or she wants to rebel against everything you're doing. And I had to learn this, Jeremy, because you want to help everybody. So you think it's just a part of what they've been through and you must just be humble and keep dealing with it. But what happens when you have one house especially, it takes over and holds your house hostage. And then you have a mess because you might have other girls leave because of that or other girls get sick. So now when that happens after the second time, we give a probation time. And if you cannot take ownership and change these things we've talked about, then we're going to have to exit you. And they know that before they come in, we talk about it. We talk about if you cannot show the respect in the house, at some point we will have to ask you to leave. And so we know, they know where we take them, and there's no further contact with them. And all of our advocates have signed an NDA form, which means none of that should be talked about. There's no further contact. That's over. That's hard. Do you know how hard that is? To take a girl in and hope that you can change everything that's been bad to good, and now they're back out again, but they're angry. And they're angry at you. And they may not say good things about you, but you're going to have to deal with that. That's a part of having a safe home. And then you fill that spot again. And that's very sad and it's very hard. You will cry a lot if you're like me, and you will feel like a failure at some point. And then you'll have to look at yourself too and say, was there anything that we could do different? Never just take that down as a rule and then go in there and go, we had to exit her. Do you look at yourself? That's what we're having to do too. Look at ourselves. Let's see if there's something we needed to change. You're always going to be doing that on both sides.
And in your response to that about the exit program, all I could think of and how you're saying it is that's a Christ-like way to love. Christ is there to be there for us. He's there for the suffering. When he talks about in Matthew, he's there when we need him. Like he's there among those who are poor, suffering, hurting, so on and so forth. And that's what you're doing. You're setting yourself to come those who are poor, those who are hurting. But if you're going to hurt those who are hurting already, there comes a point where you cannot be associated in that sense.
Yeah.
And just Christ is here, ready, but there is a reason why he says, "Come to me." Mm-hmm. And I want to encourage you that while that's hard, and I'll be honest, I don't even know if I would have the stomach to do it, which shows your strength. I encourage you to keep moving forward and doing what you're doing. because what you're doing by getting that, possibly that one girl that you don't want to exit out and have exit your program, you don't want it. You're doing everything you can to keep it from happening, but if you must, it's because you're protecting the others who did say, please, I'm coming into your care and I'll do this. And so thank you for being strong enough to do that. And thank you for sharing that strength with us and encouragement that we do need to do that. There is a point of discipline. There is a point of, hey, this is the line. And I appreciate that you do that. And I also appreciate that you make that the very last straw.
Thank you. And I only could do that, Jeremy, because I was trained. Otherwise, if I had not been trained, I would have assumed that I was just, every time I was doing something wrong. And, I would have to fix it. But having the training twice a month and being able to take that to my mentors, I have two, one on each side, taking it and they go, no, that's not what you're supposed to do. Remember, you have your core values. Remember, you have your intake and your exit. Let's go over it. Nope, you can't do that. Had I not had the training, who knows how many girls would have been messed up. Because people get angry with you and people want to do everything from the heart. You do have to do it from the heart, but you also, even Christ had boundaries, has commandments. And we have to have some boundaries, and that's got to be respected. It just has to be. And then we move on. And that goes for the advocates too. We don't just want, and it goes for me. It doesn't just mean that just because we're in a position of leadership that we can assume that we don't have things to change. Sometimes we do. Or some of the people that work for me, if I see that they're not understanding how we were trained, if you move from that because you would rather have friendship and that brings on, then I can't have you here. As much as I like you and love what you did, you can't be here because you're not helping. You're creating something as a friendship, and then the others get jealous and they wanted that friendship, and you become a paradise for them that all you do is put them back into isolation again. You may buy them gifts, you may take them on trips, which shouldn't happen. And then what you've done is you've stopped the progress of what we needed to do to get them back into the real world again.
Well, that's going to close up this segment of what to accomplish for your girls who come into the safe home and what you believe most safe homes should be accomplishing. At the end of the day, safe homes need to be leading toward a restoration. Whether or not you're a safe home that goes to, like, maybe you have a network, right? It's like that you're trying to build a 3-tier safe home, which goes into the victim restoration of getting them out into the workforce and getting them that lifestyle, that graduation. Some might be in the spot where they're just that assessment safe home, that just a trauma safe home, and then they network with another one. And we need that type of network happening. But either way, you can kind of see the accomplishments going along the way. So thank you for what you're doing. And I'm excited about the next segment now to discuss how it's very hard for you to do what you do without support. There's the finances, there's the network, and then there's the awareness. And so we're going to talk about those things and how this is truly how I feel where most of our viewers and listeners can truly make an impact right now, starting with Life Recaptured and starting with their sphere of influence.